Alofa lava, my name is Tanu Gago. I'm a visual artist and my practice is photography and moving image. I think the fundamental Pacific notions around the nude is that it's challenging, especially as something visual for people to engage with. And I think there's a lot of cultural taboos built around that nervousness or that tension. And a lot of those taboos are really informed by, I think, a mixture of colonization and our own cultural beliefs as well. I work in a space that's really diverse. We have a lot of gender and sexually diverse identities in this space. And so body sovereignty is a really important issue because it relates to the body being the last place that people have control. And it's the only thing that a lot of the artists I work with or collaborate with feel they have any control over. And it's really removed from all these external things that sit outside of them. And so I feel like the nude body is extremely powerful in terms of bringing up those conversations around colonization and control and power. And of course these things are predominantly framed in a very European context. So I think it's interesting that we're in a place now where we can start examining those things from our own cultural lenses and our own perspectives. As people, indigenous people of color who have lived entire lives in these bodies and understand what that political nature is. So just to give context, I work as part of a queer arts collective, and for the last 3 years I've been curating in the LGBT creative space. It's quite a new space and uncharted, and so there's been a lot of freedom in terms of generating creative projects around what our community wants to talk about and what's important to them. And it always comes back to the body, because for this marginal community within a minority group, their bodies are always this thing that's negotiating space and time. And it is always an issue with a moral majority whose understanding of gender diversity isn't very informed. And so the attention or the interface for these people to be in public space and occupying public space is extremely challenging for them. Because they get looked at by a lot of people and social expectations get placed onto their bodies. And you can see this in some of the conversations that happen just symptomatically of like the majority's inability to understand gender diversity. So, you know, they want to have conversations about which bathroom a trans person should be using. And these are the impacts or the social impacts of the body in terms of social space. The intentions for me as an artist are always to tell a story and to keep it as authentic as possible and as close to the truth as possible. I feel a little exhausted at looking at images of Pacific people in disparity, and I feel exhausted from looking at representations of masculinity that are extremely toxic. We have a choice. We don't have to look at these things. And if we're tired of those things being doctored and presented to us, then we have to do something active about changing that. And I think it's important, the more that we can reflect our realities to the outside world, hopefully they get it, and at some point understand what we require from them for us to thrive, to have a place of understanding, to see ourselves validated socially, or even just through representation.